to keep warm? Well, how about a nice quilt? You know, quilting is an age-old hobby and tradition. If you've never learned how, you're in luck this morning because Ashley Kirkland is at Country Garden Quilts to get a crash course. Good morning, Ashley.
Good morning, Vicki. I don't know if I can get a crash course because there's so much history behind quilting, but I'll try my hand at it. We're here at Country Garden Quilting and More, and in Ishpeming Township, and it's evolved. Really, quilting has evolved from what you see, just the traditional quilts there, to so many different things that you can make. They have several patterns here. You can make table runners. You can even make a nice little chic bag out of quilting material. So we're going to be here with the owners a little bit later. They're going to talk about the classes that they offer to people to learn how to quilt, and also teach me a little bit just this morning. I don't know if they can get the whole class in for me, but we're going to go through some things, so that should be fun this morning, Vicki. I'll take it back to you for now. Ashley Kirkland reporting live in Ishpeming Township, TV6 News.
All right. Ashley Kirkland is learning the basics of quilting this morning at Country Garden Quilts in Ishpeming. Good morning, Ashley.
Good morning, Vicki. When you get the basics down, it really can become a lifelong hobby or art form. And right now I'm here at Country Garden Quilts and More, and I'm with Mary Poyer, the owner. Mary, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
Now, there's such a rich history behind quilting. When does it actually date back to?
Years and years ago, scraps of quilts have been found with Egyptian mummies. Knights wore quilted clothing underneath their heavy armor to protect their skin. In the 1700s, quilts were used mainly as utility pieces to provide warmth, and there is one old American quilt that survived that dates back to 1726.
Wow.
So they've been around for a long, long time.
Yeah, they have.
It's centuries old, and it's a worldwide craft.
Yeah. And you guys teach that craft here at your shop, and you're going to show me the basics. Where do you get started?
Okay, I guess a basic understanding of what a quilt is what's most important. A quilt is basically 3 layers, a sandwich of 3 layers. The top is usually pieced or appliqued. Then there's the batting or the filler that's placed between the layers of fabric, and then there's the backing fabric.
Okay.
The quilting actually happens when those 3 pieces of fabric are stitched together.
Okay.
And that the quilting can be done either by hand with needle and thread, or it can be done by machine.
Okay.
On a domestic sewing machine at home, or there are a number of long arm quilting professionals in the area who will do quilts on their machines, which take up almost a full room.
Wow. And before you start the quilting, though, you have to pick out the fabric, and this is actually the patchwork. What's this process called?
Okay, this is called piecing,
Okay.
and some people call it patchwork as
Okay.
well. And yes, you do have to choose the fabrics first. Ordinarily, you would pick out a pattern and then see what the fabric requirements are for that pattern, choose the colors that you want, fabrics that coordinate, and then get the tools that you need.
Okay. And we have a sort of a measuring board here. What is it that we're about to do?
Okay, this is called a rotary cutter. A long, long time ago, when people first started quilting, they had templates made out of paper or bone or a variety of fabrics, and they had to trace around those templates and cut them out individually. Now we have rotary cutters to speed up the process.
Okay.
To go along with the rotary cutter, there are rulers with markings and measurements on them, and a mat, because you don't want to cut directly on the wooden table. The mat is a self-healing mat, so when you use this rolling razor blade on it, the cracks will heal up.
Right.
So to cut a piece of fabric, if you wanted, for example, a 2.5-inch strip of fabric, you would line the 2.5-inch measurement on the edge of the fabric, hold the ruler down, and very quickly cut your strip of fabric.
Wow.
Rather than cutting all of the pieces individually and having to measure and draw lines.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Mary. And you guys have so much fabric here. How much fabric do you have for people to choose from?
We have approximately 1,500 bolts of fabric.
Holy moly. Okay. And so you have also designs, but you also have classes that we're going to talk about a little bit later.
We do.
Okay. And we'll talk about those classes, some very interesting classes, one of them having to do with the Civil War. So we'll be back with that, Vicki.
You need to
Ashley
know
Kirkland.
before you start a big quilting project. And of course, maybe I've always wanted to learn, and you guys have too. Thankfully, Ashley Kirkland is back live from Country Garden Quilts with more from her quilting lesson. Ashley?
Well, Sam, I'm so glad that you're excited about this because quilting is really fun, and we're back here at Country Garden Quilting and More, and I'm with Mary Poyer. Mary, you're going to teach me the next step, which is the sewing part, and there's a difference between hand sewing and machine sewing. What is that?
That's correct. A long, long time ago, people sewed most quilts by hand because the sewing machine wasn't invented until the middle 1800s. So in that case, they used templates of various sizes to trace and cut out their pieces of fabric and then stitch them together with needle and thread. Now, to speed things up, we use a sewing machine. And some of the basic things that you would need to look for in a sewing machine is the ability to move the needle from left to right so you can get an accurate 1/4 inch seam. You really don't need a machine with a lot of stitches on it. You only need a straight stitch for piecing a quilt. The other stitches come in handy for special tasks.
Okay. And you've made me a dummy patchwork here, so I won't mess up any of your nice quilts. And so I'm just going to go. I have the pedal here, and you're going to hold the mic, and I'll go ahead and sew that.
Okay, and when you're sewing with the sewing machine, you let the machine do the work and you do the steering, because there are feed dogs at the bottom that feed the fabric through, and you stop just before you get to a pin and take the pin out and continue to sew. I've adjusted it so you'll have a 1/4 inch seam, so all you have to do is let the edge of the fabric follow the edge of the presser foot. And there you go, you're finished. You can stitch a few more stitches just so you go off of the fabric, and we can then pull it out.
Okay.
Okay, there we go, and thread snips.
Snip, snip. And with quilting, you actually fold it over and you guys press to make the nice inseam. But you say there's a difference between ironing and pressing.
There really is. With ironing, you move your whole arm as if you were ironing a shirt. With pressing, you hold the same position. So you just press the fabrics together, and that way you don't distort the fabric before the edges are finished.
Okay. And you guys have some great classes. You've got one that's been going on a year, but it's a 2-year class. Really interesting. Talk to us about this class.
Okay, this class is based on a novel by Jennifer Shiverini called The Loyal Union Sampler, set in the Civil War times. And our class is based on her quilt book, which is 121 different 6-inch blocks.
Oh, man.
And each month we make 5 or 6 different blocks, and then they will all be put together into a quilt at the end of our 2-year period.
Wow. But people can join at any time, and you have other classes for people. There's the number on the screen. Tell people where they can call or come to talk to you about classes.
Okay, our address is 1335 US Highway 41 in Ishpeming, just west of town, and our phone number is 485-5006, and you can call for more information about classes.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Mary. These were really fun to do, and I'm sure a class will be really fun. Make sure to give them a visit if you want to make a nice quilt, or you want to give somebody a gift, or just learn a new art form. Also, stick around for more of your TV6 Morning News.